Hello sailors and welcome back to the boatyard. This week the boat jobs continue with antifouling. Our original plan was to keep our lean green sailing machine in her current shade of sage. But just like sailing, plans change. Now if you're new to boating, you might be wondering, what is antifoul? Antifoul is a protective coating that we put on the hull of a boat to prevent flora and fauna from attaching to it. These creatures or plants can slow the boat down and actually damage the hull, so antifouling is a way of preventing that. There are various forms of antifoul, with ablative being the most commonly used by sailing yachts. It's essentially a biocide that deters marine growth. It's fairly budget-friendly and easy to apply. You can also get hard antifouls, which are more durable and therefore popular with high-speed vessels. Other methods gaining popularity in yachting are copper coating, which can last a whopping 10 years in cooler waters, and foul release coatings. Foul release coatings use silicone-based paints to create a smooth, slick, slippery surface that prevents organisms from gripping onto the hull without the need for toxic biocides.
So the system that we decided to go for is actually the silicone-based system. We were just going to go with the normal antifoul because it would have been easy, and actually I've got the antifoul at home as well. But after we talked to a paint expert, our mate Chris from Hempel, what he mentioned was, or the first question he asked was, where are you going? Told him where we were going, and he helped us to appreciate that actually different water has different conditions, and therefore different types of paint and stuff are more suitable for different areas. So what he recommended for us was the silicone-based system. I did have a look at that before, buying the other antifoul stuff, and I thought it was too much of a far on, because you've got to, apparently you've got to like scrub your hull back to the gel coat, and then the whole process is really laborious and it's easy to get wrong and all that. But Chris assured me that actually it's really easy, and even though we've never antifouled a boat before, we've gone for the more complicated option. It is hopefully going to be a better performing product, so there's going to be less stuff going on the bottom of the boat. If you go over 8 knots, which we sometimes have the pleasure of doing, then any growth that does attach to it can come off as well, which is brilliant. And you only need to reapply a single coat every 2 years as well, so less lift out and so on. And it's better for the environment. It's not great for the environment. It's like there aren't fish rejoicing about the fact that we're putting silicone on the boat, but it's better for the environment than the ablative biocidal antifouls. So we've decided to give it a go. Basically, again, the forums, half of the people on the forum said this is the worst thing ever. Half the people said, yep, this is the best thing ever. So sod it. We're just going to go for it, and we'll see what it's like.
Yes.
It's Friday. Happy Friday. Another long week in the boatyard. So I'm feeling tired, feeling really tired. But today is a good day because today we're going to be getting our antifoul on. We've done a bit of a Yewy to coin the Welshy phrase, because we've decided to go with a slightly different antifoul product. I say slightly different, it's completely different. And more on that later on when we have Chris down from Hempel Paints. So at the moment, I am standing outside of the gate of the boatyard waiting to get in. The marina have decided to limit the access hours to the boatyard, meaning that you can only get in from 8 till 5. We can only work for 9 hours a day on our boat. Are you kidding me? Seems reasonable, but today I had to bring a lot of paint down, and in order to get a lift from Faye, who's at work at the moment. It had to be now. It's 7:05, so I've got to wait here for 55 minutes. Still here. It's only 10 past. I've waited 5 minutes. It's going to be a long 55 minutes. But actually, it's the first time I've had a chance to sit and think this week. I've just been on the go all week, and it's actually quite nice to have a bit of reflection in terms of what's actually happened this week. It was real relief to get the rudder back on. It really was. Every time I've been to the boatyard over the last few weeks, it's just been lying there in a cradle by the side of the boat, looking sorry for itself. It's not meant to be on the ground. It's meant to be attached to the boat. So to get that on was a real relief yesterday, but a real mission. I think partly because exclusively because it's so bloody big and heavy. But as usual, sailors come out of the woodwork to help when you need it. And a couple of lads there you saw in the video from the Ocean Youth Trust. I think are they on bursaries, apprenticeships? I don't know what the exact term is. We did see a presentation on it at Christmas, but I can't remember. But yeah, they're two young lads just sitting in the boatyard all week. I've seen them blasting their 80s tunes, you know, bringing a bit of joie de vivre to the boatyard, which is usually quite a solemn place where boats come to die. And there they were, just happily polishing every inch of an anchor chain with wire brushes, and you know, washing hulls with soap and water and sponges because they didn't have like pressure washers and whatnot. But really happy, you know, and getting their sailing qualifications paid for, and a real route to, you know, some kind of profession in the marine industry laid out for them, doing what they like at that age. I honestly, it was great to see. At that age, I had no idea what I wanted to be, so you know, it's nice to see, isn't it? Finally, it's 8 o'clock. Freezing me proverbials off.
Very nice pink primer.
Lovely shade.
Just leave it like that. Just put that on. What would happen if you just put the conversion primer on and you went to sea?
You'd get a lot of fouling. So you'd find you'd have a very green boat and a lot of very nice fouling to talk about. So yeah. You're not going to overload it. Right. Just get your
Nice and even kind of wetness there, yeah.
You don't have to be scared about it, right? But it's going to go on. You see how thin it is?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm looking for. Just keep your roller wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. This roller is quite heavy, so it will soak up a fair chunk. That's it. I'm genuinely, I don't want any more than that. So you can see it's patchy.
Yeah.
It's meant to be, but that's soaking in. So just work it in.
Yeah.
There you go. Obviously, if I go over it too much, you can see it's starting to lift it back up.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to be careful of. So that's why I say to you all the time, keep the roller wet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go too heavy, I'll show you. Right. These rollers do soak up a lot to start with. Right. It'll just dribble.
Yeah. That's what we don't want. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want that. You just want a relatively even coat. Yep.
Yes.
And that's it. So, and basically all that's doing is soaking into the old antifouling and give you a good substrate to bond to. But yeah, like I said, on a normal paint you'd be go, oh god, it's patchy. It's not. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Obviously those rollers they will soak up a fair chunk of paint.
Well, that should get a bit easier as we use it more.
Yeah. As that roller gets sodden.
Reach Out's hull is now a very fetching shade of pastel pink. It probably matches my face after I've just had this curry toasty for lunch. It was so spicy. But what do you think of the pink? Do you think pink stinks or pretty in pink? Let us know in the comments.
There is a site around that area. That's it. Yep.
And I've got Hempel overcoats to the mix.
As soon as you open it up, that obviously kicks off that.
Unfortunately, the camera isn't picking up Chris's voice because it's currently gusting 40 knots. But what he's trying to say is that once you open the tin, you have about an hour to use it. So we better get cracking then.
Nightmare.
Right, your technique on this one,
Yeah.
on your conversion primer, you, as commonly said, slapped it on. Just, you know, you can spread it around a bit because it's thin and you just get it to soak it to create a base. What you're doing with this one, because you're quite new to this, you're only be working in an area about this big at a time. Okay?
Right,
And
yeah.
I'll show you why. So this is one where I say keep the roller loaded.
Yeah.
It's the most important part, right?
Keep the roller loaded.
Yep. So obviously it'll get a bit easier as it gets loaded up a bit more and it gets a bit better.
Yeah.
Right? And I won't measure the film thickness for you because you're not an applicator. However, so plenty thick enough, you'll see it covers.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be doing any more than that show you what, I'm going to break dry, right? It'll start to pick up. You see how it's gone quite straight away, you can see how it picked up.
Yeah.
A little bit too thin, yeah?
So do your square, move on.
Yeah. So a little, get all my trainers again. Got some on from yesterday. Right, so a little bit. Get loaded up again.
Oh, so we want this quite thick then, yeah?
It's not thick, but it's not thin. It's not as thin as the one you did before.
Right. Yeah.
So working, and you'll see if it's too thick, it looks like that, right? You want to be like that, okay?
Yeah.
You can see little layout. Work, go back again, just load it up a bit. Right, that's the technique. It's about not letting the roller go dry. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
So then working another area. So yeah, you will feel like you're up and down. You'll be up and down a lot, right? So keep your roller loaded.
So I need to get these little bits off, mate. These little bits of.
I won't worry about too much.
No.
So again, you can see where it's heavy, and it won't go on heavy, but it won't run. Right. Now this is the bit. So you've worked up and down vertically. Get your roller. A little bit of paint on it again. Exactly the same. Right. Your last part. Horizontal.
There you go.
Right. Because then what you're doing is you're laying out all your stripes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, because your roller's wet, what you're doing, best way to describe it, you've got like pizza dough and you're spreading it out because your roller's loaded, you're just moving it around.
Yeah.
And don't be scared of it. I'm not being gentle, right? Every now and again, sounds stupid, come over here, pressure. Get it somewhere there's a bit of light, you'll see where there's high and low pressures. Obviously there's none because I'm perfect.
I was going to say I can't, Chris.
Thank you very much. But if it's wet, you're not going to pick it back up. Yeah, you can just move it around and it gives you a nice even coverage. And if you have a look, I've got a high patch there. You'll very quickly pick it up.
Your eye is just different to mine, Chris.
If you look
You've
at
watched a lot of paint dry.
I have. If you look down here now, you see you've got a very even, smooth finish.
Yeah.
Over all of it.
Yeah.
So again, as long as that's wet,
Yeah.
you can go over it and work it around.
Yeah. It's day 2 of the paint job. So yesterday we did the pink priming coat, and then we put on this lovely banana yellow tie coat, and then today on goes the actual exterior silicone paint, which will be blue, and that'll be our final colour. So one coat will go on today, one coat will go on tomorrow, and then that's it, we're done. By far the most challenging aspect of the paint job has been the weather. It's just been completely brutal again, absolutely freezing cold, and like 35 knots, gusting 45 all day, which is not ideal because it blows up crap, which dust and stuff which sticks to your paint potentially, but it is what it is. This is the only 3 days window we've got in the last 2 weeks where there isn't any rain, which is really remarkable. It's law, of course, but it's what it is, you know. We've just got to get it on and get it done. So I'm on my own today. I've got to do the full boat on my own, and having done half the boat twice yesterday, and feeling how my arm feels holding this camera up right now, I think I'm going to be drinking a pint with a left hand later on. Anyway, we'll see how we get on.
Your clock starts ticking, but it's not like a, my God, the world will end.
Yeah. Look, it is the final colour.
Look at that.
What's it called? True blue.
It's true blue.
True blue.
So you'll see exactly like the tie coat.
Yeah.
No,
Oh yeah, it's the
no
same
settlement.
consistency. So there's no bits in that at all.
Nope. It's a lovely, lovely.
Oh
look how
God.
glossy and lovely that is.
Yeah, that's the. Do you not think? I think that matches the bootstrap.
There you go. It's almost like I planned it for you, mate. That's what we do as Hempel, we plan things. So, same principle, it just needs a quick mix up,
Yeah.
and then all we're going to do, get the roller loaded, and I'll show you exactly the same technique as we did for the tie coat.
Okay.
So, a couple of verticals and then laid off horizontally,
Yeah.
and then we're away.
Nice.
Right, it's exactly the same principle. I'm just going to, right, you see it going quite thick.
Yeah.
Get this loaded up because it's quite thick.
Yeah, it is.
So that's what I was talking about. You get more than one coat on, sort of per roll. If that makes sense. Now the bit I was telling you, the reason I tell you to keep it wet, right? So you see that's thick.
Yes.
If I keep going over that, now you can now see the yellow through that.
Yeah.
You can hear it pick back up.
Right.
So that's why it's rather than sort of, if you keep doing that, look how much I'm taking back off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start to see the yellow through.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. Obviously, as the roller gets wetter and more loaded, you'll be fine. So same principle. Work in small areas like that. See, I'm just working a bit like I said yesterday, like moving door around.
Yeah.
Just work in an area like that. Nothing huge. Wind's going to be fun for you. Right. Work in a nice area like that. Just get it slightly wet again, and then finish it off with a. Right.
Yeah.
And once your roll is loaded, see that it's not picking it back up? So that thickness there, if I've got a gauge, which I have, that doesn't flip over.
You've got to be patient with this, like, haven't you?
Right,
Go methodically.
Yeah. So the thickness should be around about 100 is a normal coat.
Alright.
Right. I started at 150. There's the next size. You've easily got 250 microns on there.
It's a thick coat of paint.
So technically you put 2 coats on in one go there.
Right, yeah.
Which is why I was saying to you, you put more on your first coat
Yeah.
than you do on your second coat.
Yeah.
Because you just fill it in the gaps.
Okay.
So you will use a lot more paint on that first coat than you will on the second coat.
Yeah.
Because obviously you just fill it in the gaps.
Yeah.
But you see there, if you look down, remember what I said to you about looking down? Obviously we haven't got much sunlight, but you can't see any stripes now.
No, you can't. That is like very nice. Yeah. Very even finish.
Almost like I've done it before. Yeah. So same principle as I always said. Just keep that, you don't want it soaking. This is a little bit stickier than the tie coat.
Yeah.
And it'll, if you get it on too heavy, it just slips like that, see? So all you do is just working it around. And again, once you've done a little bit of it, you'll learn you don't have to be gentle. It's just about, as long as that roll is wet, you can see you're putting thickness on it. It's only when you start going too far, you start seeing it. So just, so you start to feel like it's a bit tacky, just...
That yellow's very helpful as a contrast against the blue, isn't it?
Then all you're doing, just work over it like that. So you see there, picked up a little bit because it's dried out a little bit.
Eagle eye.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, mate.
And then that's tomorrow, all you'll do is fill the bits in. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, aye. Nice one.
And you can see, it's a lovely colour.
It is a nice colour.
Practice.
Alright. Oh, the final bit. If you're going to anti-foul your boat, if you can avoid doing it in a gale, I definitely would. I mean, we couldn't because the weather, it's going to rain for a week now. It's 3 days and it's done, but bloody hell, it's hard with so much wind. Everything gets blown everywhere. I've chased paint pots across the yard. I've chased trays across the yard. I've had trays fly out my hand. Yeah, not great, but this is the final bit.
Which of the coats do you think was the easiest to apply?
The middle one.
Middle, the yellow, the lovely banana.
Yeah, that's apparently what the Chris says. Most people say that that's the easiest one, and I agree.
I agree as well.
But yeah, bloody hell. Not gonna lie, that was an absolute mission. When we were young, we used to make jokes out of people, call them bin rakers, people who go around bins and just look in bins for what they can find, right? I tell you what, there's never been a bin raker ever found in a bin a chopped up boat. Hey, the first bit of tape off.
Reach out might look great, but we're not done yet. See the posts holding her up? Well, we need to remove those pads and paint under there. We are nearly there on the anti-fouling. Today we are going to start putting the remaining patches where the pads have been, and we're currently in the slings, ready to go back in the water on Tuesday.
One tin of pink.
So this needs a good stir by the looks of it.
Yeah, this is the only one of the three that needs a really good stir because you get a lot of solids in there. So you've got to stir it for probably 5 minutes or something. But it's alright.
If you want to know how slippy the silicone paint is, I was thinking about taping up around the squares, but watch this. It won't stick, nothing sticks, it's amazing. Which I guess is the point, because if tape can't stick to it, then hopefully barnacles and algae can't stick to it either.
So now we add the curing agent to the paint. See, you've got to resist the urge to go fast and hard, otherwise you end up with stuff just squirting everywhere.
Why are you laughing? We're just children.
We're just debating whether or not to paint the prop.
Sure?
The show? Oh, what was it called? I've got no idea. People will let us know. Someone will know what it was
No,
called.
I need to Google it. Google it. So when I was little, on a Saturday morning, I used to watch a show called The Raccoons, and there was a character in it called Cyril Sneer, and I always wondered to myself, what is he? Because all the other characters were animals, and I never could work out what Cyril Sneer is, and now I know.
He's a foam roller.
He's a foam roller with pig paint on it.
Welcome to Antifoul Yoga, where Rob is currently doing the beneath the keel pose. Good for your back, shoulders, mental well-being.
The fumes are not good for your brain though. Here we are, Good Friday.
Of course it's Good Friday, we've got fish and chips.
And everyone else is getting fish and chips as well.
Yes, and their
Busy.
dog.
I've wanted to come here for a while to the fish temple. It's not a fish and chip shop, it's a temple to seafood. And I wanted to come here for a while, so we thought it would be nice to come down today. It's a little bit warmer, have a day off of the boat stuff. Interesting, fish and chip prices are still nuts. They're still really, really high. I thought they might have started to come back down now, but I don't think they ever will. I think these places realise that they can charge a lot of money for fish and chips and people will still queue out the door, and therefore they'll never come back down. We'll see. That's the most expensive chips I've ever bought though, £3.70 for some chips. But look, it does look nice, although...
This is Battle of the Shields.
It is, this is South Shields.
Yes.
Well, the North Shields.
Current champs are North Shields.
Yeah.
So we have to put our home bias
Yeah.
to one side.
It's a big chip. Oh,
It's good crisp on the chip.
it's a good crispy chip, mind, I must say.
Yeah.
Well, overall,
It's a small fish for the price.
it's a very small fish for the price. It needs to be absolutely, completely outstanding, or they're going to lose points for that. We don't make the rules. Well, we do. Okay, let's go. That's cod as well. They had no
I'm
haddock.
going with lemon.
We're usually haddock people. But that's a pretty good piece of cod, mind, I must say. But it's really thin.
Some sort of mermaid type thing.
It's too thin. That is too thin. It's good. It reminds me of Oban.
Yeah, it's good. It's a contender.
It's not a contender.
No, I mean like it's up there. It's up the list. It's high in the league.
Oh yeah, no, Oban was top 5. But no, it has more to do. They've got to be more generous with the portions when they're charging that much. They really do. Well, to stand a chance of winning. But yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's good. It's good on Good Friday.
It's a 3 out of 5. They're gone. They are down the neck, and no additional comments really. I think that pretty much summed it up. It's a 3 out of 5, but I am wary that it's just kind of me and you doing this review, and there is one more important crew member who needs to have a say as well.
Yewy, hello baby. Stay. Oh, there's a good girl. What do you think?
I think it gets a thumbs up or a pause up.
Oh.
Alright, so the epoxy primer is on. As I mentioned before, we just applied it straight to our old antifoul, which was in pretty good nick, had a good adhesion to the hull. So all we needed to do, we didn't have to scrape back to the hull or anything, we just put this epoxy primer on, this 2-part epoxy primer, and it creates a surface there that we can have the rest of the paint layers, the silicone-based paint, stick to. So now we're going to apply what we call a tie coat. Now this tie coat is a 2-part paint, but it's sold just as a single mix like this, and essentially what will happen is that when we put this on top of the epoxy primer, the epoxy element of this paint will sink to the bottom of the layer and adhere to the pink epoxy primer that we saw, and the silicone based layer of this paint will rise to the surface and create a silicone outer layer which the final silicone coat can attach to. All very clever stuff. That is a painted boat. Yeah.
Yes. Let's have a look at her.
Don't like the colour?
Should we go back to pink?
No.
Brilliant job. What is Yewy growling at?
Righty ho, so the painting is complete. I'm very, very happy to say. Yewy is still growling at her horror fender over there, so please excuse her. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the forums had said, yeah, this paint's really difficult to apply. I don't think it was actually.
I don't think it was, but I didn't do the majority of the work.
You didn't, so you don't get an opinion. And my opinion is, I mean, I know I had Chris helping me out, which was a massive help. Thank you so much, Chris. Your expertise on you took me to places I didn't even know existed with paint. Maybe that was the fumes, I don't know. But certainly, you know, if you've painted walls, if you've painted houses and stuff like that, you'd have no problem painting the boat.
No.
We've never antifouled a boat before, so I've got no idea whether it's harder or easier than normal antifoul, but it took us 3 days, took me 3 days, 14 hours of painting to do 3 coats on a 41-foot boat. I would have done 3 coats anyway with the antifoul, 1 primer and two coats of antifoul, so I can't say that it took any longer. The conditions, you do have to take note of the conditions. We were waiting for a window, you know, with suitable weather, so i.e. no rain, and thankfully that, you know, in a 3-week period we got a couple of days to do that. Yewy, man, it's a fender. So
It's
anyway,
not the first time
look,
she's parked at a fender.
it wasn't that bad an experience, but the proof will be in the pudding, because at the end of the day, this is not about like, did it go on easy? It's about, you know, is it a good product?
Perform?
And you know, you know, we'll have a check in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, but
to see.
But one thing we did want to say, we want to recommend getting good quality rollers. I think it would have been a lot more difficult if we'd tried to use foam rollers for the whole thing.
God, yeah, don't scrimp on your rollers. Yeah, use good rollers.
And don't scrimp on the amount of paint. It was really important to keep the roller wet, keep a lot of paint on there all the time. So don't try and make one tin go as far as possible. Like, get more than you need,
Yeah.
so you can get the right amount on.
Yeah, good tips from someone who didn't really do that much painting as well. I mean, imagine imagine how many tips you'd have if you'd actually done loads of painting.
Well, I had to go and earn a living.